people are surprised on our side. They thought it maybe it'd just be Trump and Trump's associates. They didn't think it was that far-reaching. And so I think it's just going to build more demand.
Not at all. This isn't something you can make up, I assure you. She was then in the records. We have a file on Whoopi Goldberg. She's currently live on ABC. However, here she is on ABC. Because her name appears in the Epstein files, she claims she is being pulled along. For the Epstein files, they were begging. I believe I showed you Rowana discussing this yesterday. Rowana Massey and Thomas Massey have been advocating for this.
Now, in the name of transparency, can you put up my name is in the files? Yes. And what does it say? It says, Whoopi needs a plane to get to Monaco. John Lennon's charity, it should say Julian Lennon's charity, is paying for it. They don't want to charter, so they're looking for private owners. Here's the info. And they give all the information, and they're saying, do you want to offer your G2?
Okay. It looks like they said no thanks.
Yeah. So in other words, anybody can be on this list.
Well, this is my point.
It is clear from Brian Tyler's expression. What do you mean, Democrats? Hold on. Since Democrats are the only ones who are actually showing up in this situation, their response makes sense, to be honest. This whole scenario feels more out of control, especially since we recently found out that J.B. Pritzker is currently being investigated and that those involved in the probe are among those being discussed. But because something significant just happened on ABC, let's switch back to it for a bit. After accusations arose that she was denied access to Epstein's jet when she supposedly tried to beg for it, Whoopi Goldberg finally spoke out. She is being treated similarly to everyone else stated, and her name was listed in the files. Several Democrats continue to deny what is clearly in front of them.
Well, this is my point, because I'm telling you, when I tell you people are trying to turn me into, I wasn't his girlfriend, I wasn't his friend. I was not only too old, but it was at a time.
Currently, a large number of people must come out. Every one of their businesses is failing, they've ruined their supply, their names are on it, and it's all crumbling apart. The Democrats deserve this. They were in charge of that. However, don't pretend that you weren't on the files because you were pleading for Epstein's jet since you thought he was awesome. Furthermore, did this happen prior to or after Epstein's conviction for pedophilia?
But it was at a time, where this is just not, you used to have facts before you said stuff.
But Trump was on the list 38,000 times.
Well, I can't speak to him, but I'm speaking about me because I'm getting dragged. People actually believe that I was with him. It's like, honey, come on. Every man that I've ever been with, you've known about him because either the Inquirer wrote it about it. Yeah. People wrote about this stuff. So no, I never had this, and no, I didn't get on the plane. Because you know what I would have to do to get on the plane? They were trying to,
and she
so they're trying to get me to get on a plane to get to this thing for Julian Lane.
Yeah, but the thing is, they dropped like 300 names, and it's like flood the zone. Because when you're looking, there are people like Marilyn Monroe. Elvis. Yeah, a lot of people, because a lot of the reasons your name can be mentioned are news articles, third-party emails, contacts. Again, wealthy, famous people often cross in professional and social circles.
I honestly rest my case. And the best example I can think of is the entire Epstein file problem. You must appear on television and provide a convincing defense if you are going to be mentioned in something like this. It's an easy question. In the first place, why did you try to use his plane? These files were in your possession for years. You were aware that his name has been used tens of thousands of times. Furthermore, you were aware that none of it indicated guilt. The suspicions and analogies, however, continue to mount. It matters, which is why I continue to discuss it. Looking suspicious when you don't have to is never a good idea, especially when people are already on edge. People have the option to unsubscribe. That's okay. The fact that so much of this is ignored, however, is really astounding. Credibility is always in doubt, therefore we can't even be certain of what is true. However, there are other revelations that are hardly discussed. According to documents, even after Jeffrey Epstein's misdeeds were well known, there were still rumors that he was invited to private donor gatherings and that he had received a fundraising email connected to Pritzker's campaign in 2018. That gives an unsettling impression of how interconnected this man might have been. It's absurd how many people could have desired his wealth, power, and support even after his conviction. So why isn't it being discussed? How come it's not on CNN? How come it doesn't make the news? Since they are indifferent, or at least they don't seem to give a damn. You then turn your attention back to J.B. Pritzker and the reports of Hyatt Executive Chairman Tom Pritzker resigning due to his connections to Epstein. This begs the question, should anyone who has any connection to this world be compelled to resign? It's what people anticipate, and the fact that ABC is showing some of this makes it extra stranger. Democrats, on the other hand, suddenly appear to be forced to publicly defend themselves. Sometimes names appear in documents without any context, like in the case of the mayor's family, when people jump to accusations and yell secrets about someone who may have done nothing at all. Perhaps it was a coincidence. It might not have been harmful. However, others will find it strange once your name is spoken. It all feels weird, and I can see why it continues becoming stranger.
A new document coming to light claims in the mid-2000s President Trump called police about Jeffrey Epstein. Among the 3 million Epstein files released by the Department of Justice last month is a 4-page FBI report on an interview the Bureau conducted in 2019 with a man believed to be former Palm Beach Police Chief Michael Ryder. Ryder and his detectives began investigating Epstein for human trafficking in 2004. According to the document, Trump called Ryder around that time and said, "Thank goodness you're stopping him. Everyone has known he's been doing this." Ryder also says Trump said he threw Epstein out of his club, and he was around Epstein once when teenagers were present, and Trump got the hell out of there. The former police chief says Trump told him to focus on Epstein's associate, Ghislaine Maxwell, saying, "She is evil."
I'm having trouble believing the files at the moment because they nearly seem to explain everything. No longer do the victims feel like the center of attention. Rather, it becomes a guessing game about who might be revealed next. Perhaps their true goal was to prevent the man from fleeing, even though they claim to have sought to put him away. Wouldn't this have been used much earlier if some groups really knew everything? One by one, celebrities are being drawn into the spotlight, and Bill Clinton's name is suddenly everywhere. There is mention of Michael Jackson. Photos and videos of Chris Tucker may be found everywhere. In addition, I adore Chris Tucker. But does being spotted in those pictures always make someone guilty? I'm not able to state that. I'm not sure if he did anything improper. Being in a photo or on an airplane does not establish criminal activity. What transpired once individuals learned the truth is the true problem. After they realized who he was, did they continue to hang out with him? Did they keep hanging around him? And after everything was made public, what was their reaction? The important questions are those. Because Ryan Garcia discussed a lot of this early on and made remarks that caught my attention, that's why people keep bringing up names like his.
You know what I find funny? What? All these people, famous, not famous, they'll speak about everything. Those kids that don't have a voice, you guys don't want to stand up for that. To me, you guys are fucking out. All you Billy Ellis, all you bunnies, all you people in the world. I won't talk about that though. Why is that? Okay, Rick Howard.
There hasn't been much of a change in the reason behind their lack of fervor for vocally supporting victims or condemning these injustices. Speaking up against evil is a good concept, especially when it comes to protecting children, and I agree with what you're saying. Sadly though, a lot of individuals who say they care just don't show up because it doesn't seem like who they really are. And wouldn't they be discussing locations like the Darren Gap before children are even picked up, before they cross borders, before they are put on buses, if they truly concerned about saving children? A startling number are being trafficked via that area on their way to the United States, according to reports. Statistics demonstrate the risks that migrants encounter, such as who prays for them and who exploits them. Immigration is an intricate matter. Indeed, it is made even darker by corruption. Stories that illustrate the system's vulnerability have taught us about these truths. When Sound of Freedom first came out, it demonstrated how children may be taken from their parents, exploited, and even given to strangers. That's terrible and demonstrates the system's inherent flaws. Although I recognize that some individuals react by completely detesting immigration, that is not the point of this discussion. And I hope that's clear to everyone who is listening. Hatred is not what we are called to as Christians. We can acknowledge that we don't agree with every aspect of the leaders we back. However, we can't waste time acting as though these issues don't exist. And if you look at how the media portrays things, you wind up with situations like Whoopi Goldberg having to defend herself on television due to allegations about Jeffrey Epstein's plane. Everything is simply dreary, dark, and unnerving. However, they have built a world around this tale. I'll see you in the next one. Don't forget to hit the like button and leave a comment with your opinions.